Welcome back, everyone, to the Miami Dolphins franchise here on Madden NFL 19, as today it's going to be a bittersweet day for the series, as this is the final episode of the Miami Dolphins franchise, the series finale. First things first, we're looking at the box score for the Super Bowl 57, which of course we did win by a score of 31-24. Our Dolphins were able to go back-to-back after winning it last year against Jake Fromm and the Giants. We're able to do it this year against the LA Rams. So the plan for today is that we will be doing a 10-year simulation, see what happens to the Dolphins, see what happens to the roster, and to some of your favorite players in this series. We did this last year in the Chargers franchise, so I assume it'll be somewhat similar, or at least the premise will be similar. I guess it'll be a little bit better since I'm a little bit better at this YouTube thing. So the simulation took probably around pretty much an hour on the nose, which was a little bit quicker than last year's an hour. Definitely not too bad at all. So here's one final look at the roster. 92 overall. Surprised it's that low. 95 offense, 93 defense, and the special teams, who knows, we had a pretty baller special teams of Aguayo and Hawk. So this is the final look of a roster. In the Chargers 10-year simulation, we had 3 players who were on the roster, be on the roster 10 years later. They were wide receiver Spencer Bailey, tight end Eric Vasquez, and kicker James Brandstater. Saying some of those names feels so nostalgic, man. So we'll see if a similar amount of players stick around. We also won 1 Super Bowl during the 10-year simulation. I don't know how many we made, but I know we only won 1. So we'll see how that compares to our Miami Dolphins as one final look at the squad. And I figured it'd be a good idea to look at career stats for where we are right now. There's Tua Tagovailoa, A.J. Dillon, and of course Kerryon Johnson receiving. Mike Gesicki, that was all in this series, as well as technically DJ Moore and DeKendrick Manning, Devontae Parker as well. The O-line, 67 sacks allowed in this series alone for Juwan James, 59 for Jonah Williams. Not too bad. It could have been worse theoretically. Tackles goes to Quan Alexander, of course, the free agent signing back in season number 1. I think his contract is up after this year, not that it really matters that much. Tackles for loss is a tie for Alexander and Charles Harris. Sacks go to Carl Lawson by a landslide. And then interceptions goes to Marlon Humphrey. Minka Fitzpatrick is in 3rd, which shocks me. Yeah, I know Marlon Humphrey had 10 interceptions that one season, but I'm surprised Minka only has 19. I thought he'd be in the mid-20s, probably right around where Humphrey is. But Minka Fitzpatrick is obviously still a baller in this series, likely eventual Channel Hall of Famer. Maybe Humphrey is as well, as he was a pretty big pickup back in season number 2. That 5-team trade, remember, with the storyline. And then here's a look at the legacy leaderboard. Tua Tagovailoa with almost 10,000, which seems like the mark you need to make the Hall of Fame. So Tua's basically a Hall of Famer now. Same with Minka Fitzpatrick and a few of the other guys as well. So without further ado, I think that's all we need to do. And now I think it's time to start simulating. So this is a final look at the roster. I do still have a save file, I think, right after the AFC Championship. So theoretically, if we really wanted to go back to these guys, we can. So we can do that. I know I don't have the Illinois roster still saved for the Illinois Dynasty from like a year ago. Not that that's really mattered. So I figured I'd point that out. So here we go, simulating 10 years. We actually had to simulate 11 off seasons. So here we are in 2033. Are you guys ready to look at the roster? Are you ready? Well, here we go. Tua Tagovailoa is still there at quarterback, still strong at a 98 overall. So it looks like regression hasn't really hurt him too much. 34 overall, now has normal development. As you can see, the rest of his roster looks totally different. No one else on offense, no one else on defense. But special teams, you'll notice, both Ricky Aguayo and Matt Hawk are still there. So once again, like the Chargers series, 3 players, this time being Tua Tagovailoa, Ricky Aguayo, and Matt Hawk. So here's a look at the roster. Obviously, Tua Tagovailoa. Curry Lucas now, a 27-year-old linebacker, 97 overall. Ashley, 29-year-old receiver from Rhode Island, the same college as Quantavious October. Is that a coincidence? I think not. Willie Conway may be related to Mason, but I find it so funny that we had Ashley. What's a better name? Let me know in the comments. Ashley or Quantavious October. That's honestly tough, and I find it funny that they both happen to go to the same college, which is incredible. Linebacker Ace McMillan, maybe he's related to Raekwon McMillan. I think it said Ace went to Auburn, so probably not, but I find it funny that the two meme names happen to go to the same school. I don't think I'll ever get over that. So, Ashley or Quantavious October. So the plan, what we're going to do is we're going to look around the league, try to find as many of our players as we can, look at career stats, go through free agency, see if we find anyone, and we'll go through the legacy leaderboard as well. So here is a look at the head coaches. We get to look at what Chris Peterson has done. So as you can see, 3 Super Bowls, 4 appearances. So that means in the 10 years, we made the Super Bowl twice and we won it once. So we won 1 more Super Bowl, just like in the Chargers series, and we made it 2 more times. Don't know how many times we made it in the Chargers. So, starting with Tua Tagovailoa, only fitting, we look at his career stats. The first 3 years were obviously in the game we played, and then the last 10 were with the simulation. It looks like he was a really solid quarterback, making $44 million, and he has not won an award since 2022, which was the last year of this series, and it looks like he's only made 2 Pro Bowls in the 10 years, so it looks like he's been a good quarterback, but nothing spectacular, sort of like Mason Conway was with the Chargers. And then to his career stats, over 50,000 yards, 404 touchdowns, 127 interceptions, almost 420 sacks, 420 blaze it. So looking at for running backs, no A.J. Dillon, no anyone left, as all of these guys have pretty much played under 10 years, and A.J. Dillon was not in free agency, so he has unsurprisingly retired. Next up, DeKendrick Manning, wide receiver, now on the Jets, the division rival. We had him for the first 2 years. Never really was a superstar. He had a really good first year. Sort of took a step down in year 2 with DJ Moore. And it looks like he's been good throughout his career. Nothing crazy. 1 Pro Bowl appearance. But he's been an all-around good player. 852 catches, almost 10,000 yards, 67 touchdowns. He's been a good player in this series, but once again, nothing spectacular. Next up on the defensive side of the ball, Ed Oliver, now playing for the Denver Broncos. And the first 4 years we had him, and it looks like he was better without us. Never eclipsed double-digit sacks, but the first year during the sim, he did. Remember, Oliver's contract did end after we stopped playing, so there's a chance that after the Super Bowl against the Rams, Ed Oliver never played a down in the Dolphins jersey again. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Looking at his career sacks, 139.5 sacks, second among all active players just behind Dylan Moses, and then Dexter Lawrence also with over 100 career sacks. So here's a look at Ricky Aguayo. We had him for the first 3 years, and it looks like he was a little bit better when I played with him rather than the simulation, but it does still look like he's been a good player. 2 Pro Bowls, and he just won the Best Kicker award last year, so it looks like he's not doing too bad. And then in his career, 77% field goals, 97% with extra points as well. And then you also see guys like Jake Elliott, Harrison Butker, and Justin Tucker still up there as well. And then Matt Hawk, now 39 years old. We had him the whole series. His first year was not in the series, but the next 5 were. And then the next 10 obviously were in the simulation. He's been a very good player for us in this series. So, doing his thing. I don't know the most about punter stats, so I can't really say if he's been a beast or not. 2 Pro Bowls, which isn't too shabby. I don't know if either of those were during the series or not. I wish it said what year they were. And then looking at his career stats, 1 less punt than Lodi, whoever that is. 82 as his longest, that has to be the highest. And he's played the same amount of games as Johnny Hekker. So here's a look at free agency. Last year in the Chargers series, we were able to find a bunch of guys in free agency, like Pickney, I think Marcus Williams, Jacques Stanley, but none of our players in free agency. So the only guys left in the league were the players who I just shown, which was like 5 or 6. So here's a look at the all-time players. Tom Brady is still the quote-unquote GOAT, even though I don't agree with it. And then third all-time is Dylan Moses, who is now with the Chiefs. When we actually played in this series, Dylan Moses was on the Bills, and he was an absolute problem. Anyway, looking at everyone else, Ed Oliver with over 24,000 legacy. He won 3 Super Bowls and 4 championships, so it looks like he was here the whole time, except for, I guess, now. There's Tua Tagovailoa, over 20,000. Jonah Williams made the Hall of Fame. It looks like he stuck around, and his contract was actually up as well. So I guess we re-signed him and Ed Oliver. Happy to see Williams make the Hall of Fame. He sort of struggled towards the beginning of his career, but really picked it up towards the end. He actually didn't play in the Super Bowl because he was hurt, but other than that, happy to see him in. And other than those guys, there are no other players in the Hall of Fame. Ed Oliver's a shoo-in, Tua's a shoo-in, Jonah Williams is actually in. It looks like our owner, Stephen Ross, will probably make it, and then hopefully Chris Peterson does as well. But other than that, no one else on the team made it. Very surprised about Minkah Fitzpatrick. I thought he was a shoo-in. He was at 9,600 when we started simulating, and I think 10,000's the cutoff, so he must have did absolutely nothing the rest of his career to not make it, so that's sort of strange, as a bunch of our favorite current-day NFL players also in the Hall of Fame. So I think that's pretty much it. I think that'll do it for the series and for the 10-year sim. So one final look at the legacy scores, and that'll do it for the Madden 19 Miami Dolphins franchise. I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, have a good one, and fins up, baby.